Okay, I have about an hour to break some shit down to you. That's real simple economics. Gas versus electric. I wrote it down actually, just so I could actually try to stay on topic and be somewhat efficient. So, gas versus electronic, mileage versus efficiency. Electronics, okay, you're running circuitry. Mileage, though, what is the car value when you actually drive it off the lot? Take that angle and run with it. Next one, driver purpose, male versus female, age, and then you do the math on who actually has the cheaper insurance premium on that one, which I guarantee you really wouldn't even be able to fathom based on location more so. City life versus rural life. And I'll give you a different angle on this one. Country boys learn how to drive at a younger age just because they're exposed to less police more so, and literally they're taught to be more vigilant and more careful when driving just because of the fact of the type of roads that they have. As to when they get to the city life, they're actually paranoid and scared as hell just because depending on location and what they're actually trying to do and what actual cargo they hold or what type of vehicle it is more so, it could be a good and bad thing, but that's a locational thing as well. But one thing that y'all not recognizing is the fact that gas quality is actually diminishing more so just to basically, I guess, revamp itself more so, but I feel like the company is actually just trying to push away and just go on more of a more efficient way of traveling just because of the fact that literally, what's the purpose of actually having legs if you can't use them? What's the purpose of going long distances or walking anywhere if you can't actually hold your weight more so or actually do what you have to do accordingly, especially if you're on or off work more so. Morning, yeah, shit happens. So sometimes you need the convenience more so. I understand that. But yet still, God gave you legs to use, but yet still, the West Coast wakes up at 4 a.m. just to make sure they get on the East Coast time. So think about that. And even with the gas situation, plate tectonics is simple. What you take away from the earth, it has to move around. So therefore, why do you think California actually had all those earthquakes so bad? Well, yes, I guarantee you, you can't even remember when the gas price was actually below $2. Take that one. I'm that old to an extent. Despite the fact of whether I lived on base or off base, in the city of wherever you're at for the most part, gas is based on location and what they feel like they can maximize profit on. So take that one as well. The distance that you travel makes it even 10 times worse because the amount of emissions that you put out if your vehicle is actually, quote unquote, moving through the system improperly or actually moving through the system more so effectively. But yet still, how can I say like this? Excuse my nose running. It's cold as hell outside right now. And two, the amount of shit that they feeding me, excuse language, but literally they feel like they're benefiting me on the magnitude of saying that literally is giving me my learning curve. But literally, what's the simple transport to New Jersey? But yet still they want to say that they quote unquote help me. Okay, but it takes a military doctor to actually prescribe the correct medication for me more so. And it's, yeah, I look to the left, but literally there's traffic walking back and forth, 1, 2. And another thing, some people say when you look to the left or to look to the right or whatever the case may be, I'm the one of one on this one. You can look, I can look whatever way I want to more so just because of, how can I say like this? Most people who look to the left lie more so. Most people who wink, as they say, got in a godly manner, don't trust them. But literally, how can I say even this more so? I don't lie on too much of shit because if I told the Navy the most volatile thing that I could ever tell, where do I actually grow out of this situation? Nothing. And excuse me, man, for actually using your vestibule in this case because literally, how can I say like this? It's the only place where there's no music and it's actually somewhat warm, but I'm being as efficient and as quick as possible just to get this message out so therefore I could be an asset instead of a liability and living off the system since I'm on Medicare in this case. Furthermore, the value of weather, public transportation, New York versus any other location. When it comes to New York more so, I give you like this. Nothing runs on time. So you think that you actually taking public transportation and getting to work on time? You may or may not. So that's your liability in this case. And therefore, when you see on the job application where it says efficient transportation, that's the purpose, just because of New York more so. Because literally, you may see 3 or 4 buses run past you and you may not get on it because it says not in service. But do you know where it came from? As I said, location is everything. Traffic and cleanliness. All right, so that $4 a gallon that you paid on gas, get this. How, quote unquote, economically sound is it on your quote unquote fuel injection system? Because literally, you say that you just filled up your tank, and literally, what is it on now? After 3 days, not even a week, 3 days. So either you're sitting in traffic, you're moving a lot, or literally the gas quality is poor, or you just have a lead foot, or even 5. Your car's not even eco-friendly, better said. So how do you handle that? You might want to start walking and understand the value of distance. Studying locations based on economy. Country boys eat hearty, yet still. Why? Because that's their environment and they live off the land. Another one is locational values as per day. Locational values as per day is basically stating, how can I say like this? Every location has its own resources. Yes, still, people go to the city for the money and people move to the country for eco-friendly and cheapness more so. So how do you balance out the both? You might want to actually start walking a lot more, because literally, who puts 8 Splendors in a drink when literally your body's not even made to handle 8 Splendors? That's very sickening. And it's overwhelmingly sweet. Jesus. All right. Military educated mind with a great goal of economics. Most people don't have that notion just because of the fact of quote unquote prior history or even future history, but yet still, what are they subdued to that literally is putting them in that mind frame? One, but two, even still, even with that being stated, who's most effectively sound and literally is budgeted at $30,000 back in, well, let me think, 2003, 2004? Most military or government officials are actually based at that just because of the fact of literally the amount of benefits they have as far as free health care, dental, etc., etc. But literally, it's a monitor of showing you how well you could use your resources that are given to you, which is protected by police. And literally, the only thing you really have to worry about is just those around you to an extent. But you really don't have to worry about that because they're quote unquote cleared through security clearance. So how do you balance that? That's how people actually gain wealth in this case, because they actually learn how to effectively and efficiently balance money. But literally, what is the value of an account that literally is over $1 million and yet still you're only guaranteed X dollars back? Because literally, you're a liability to the system, because when all that money's gone, if there are multiple accounts at that nature, how do you get all that money back? You can't. So therefore, they give you that limit. So I try to push people in the way of saying, you might want to liquidate that massive account that you have and just go small and hire as many accounts as you want, because literally your ROI, if you're actually business sound and savvy, you're actually making more than what you actually need. You're actually compound interesting the most simplest way. And that's why the interest value is as small as it is, just because of the fact of literally you don't understand the value of what the FDIC stands for. It's a federally insured deposit. So therefore, they can guarantee you that money back at that limit. But let's still, you want to put $100,000, not even $100,000, $100 million, better said, add a couple two or three zeros to that or whatever, and literally expect one bank to actually hold all that money and not worry about who's going to be in and out of that account. That's a liability, because if they have multiple accountants in your account, what are you doing? You're making your account so hot because literally you don't know who has the power of talking outside in the street, and nobody wants to sit there and pay private investigators to follow them and follow you to make sure that your money's not getting stolen. So that's why Albany pushed me out smartly, but you wouldn't even think of that like that. Eco-friendly ambition despite parental history. The difference between white people and black people, don't take this the wrong way. White people grew up smart, and black people had to learn from it the smart way, but we were the one that became most efficient, because literally we actually try to master what we actually learn. Unlike the Hispanics, they actually perfected it, just like the Italians and every other culture. Cultural background goes a long way, long story short. Not to be racial or impartial or anything of that nature, but history states, don't take this the wrong way, most white people live more than black people right now, just because of the fact of they understand the value of simplicity, even when it comes to ingredients. Less is actually more if you know how to cook efficiently. But yes, the black people would like to over-season things, and everybody else basically somewhat try to blend in. But literally, when you go to the UK, literally their whole, how can I say like this, their whole, what do I call it? Efficient package, more so of being healthy, better said. They live longer than we do. And why do you think they actually have Amsterdam in this case? It's actually priceless, because literally any cancer person or research will literally love the genetics that they have, because it's guaranteed in that market. So what can I say behind that is literally, I just saluted somebody that walked into the bank because literally they trust me that much. But literally, Whoever it is, it doesn't matter. Is the fact that literally they trust me enough to actually walk in. I could be male, female, whatever, but literally in certain countries, hand-to-hand combat goes a long way, believe it or not, especially when it comes to war. So even with that being stated, who wins or loses in this case? The one that is actually most efficient. But literally, again, as I said, as per location, why don't certain countries want our technology is because we give them the shitty shit and we mastermind the governmental grant of actually sending it over there, which is actually condescending to them because they're actually smart enough to know what the fuck we're doing. So we're, as far as saying us as a U.S. country more so, but not to demise the U.S. more so, but literally after Trump being so impartially not racial, but how can I say like this? To be simplistically sound, ignorant, because that's why we get the term nigger from ignorance. That's the root word of ignorance, is nigger. Either way, we won't even hop on that topic because literally slavery is damn near abolished, and I pray that it never goes that way again. And the meaning of actually health instead and generational wealth. White people understand the value of a bike. Yes, still, how can I say like this? Every other person, to an extent, who likes the value of money, likes to boast about how quick they can get into and from work. But yes, still, who's still living check to check? One. But two, who actually would rather pay to ride a bike and actually exercise before they go to work as to, how can I say, pay a cab in the quote-unquote city life of where literally you could walk down any block and find a corner store. You could walk down 10 blocks and literally be exhausted to an extent. But literally, why are you exhausted? How much traffic is passing through there and how much air quality is actually good. You notice that the news actually reports air quality for the day. Think about that. Everything stems from the South, but yet still, y'all get mad at how smart I am, but I've never actually showed you how smart I am just because of the fact of literally everything was just internalized, and I have to basically process it and how I can manage it to effectively communicate properly. So how can you basically mastermind anything beyond that? The value of money itself. Cheap is efficient, but yet still New York will pay, what? Over 6 figures more so for what? A little, 500-foot apartment there's a condo? When you're still paying HOA fees, one, and if you're trying to actually own it, you're still going to pay HOA fees. So how smart are you just to waste money in that magnitude? But yes, still, everybody up north goes down south. Why? They understand the value of market and cleanliness, but yes, still, y'all up north niggas is nasty because literally, y'all just trash everything accordingly and literally want to blame the quote-unquote homeless population or whatever their situation is in a negative magnitude, but yes, still, you as the individual who has a job don't even want to do the simple customer service savvy thing and literally still give, how can I say, community service to your own corporation more so. So what's the value of rice now? And what's the value of milk now? And what's the value of potatoes and crops? Air quality. The worse the air gets, how can I say, the more new species of bugs you get, better said. So the rule of theory states, as Darwin states it accordingly, and I have to end this very shortly, only the strong will survive, but yet still nothing originates from the same principles except for those who actually stood on those principles. I will end with that one, and I got to start another 15-minute session in about 30 seconds.